Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the BFG podcast. Today we are here to talk about both Central Coast Mariners versus Wellington Phoenix men and Wellington Phoenix women versus Canberra United from this past weekend. Today on the panel we have Denise, Jonathan, and from the little corner of yellow, it's Dean. Welcome to the show, Dean. It's great to have you on today.
Thanks for asking. It's great to be here.
So we will start with the raining goals from Canberra game.
So 2 weeks ago, we did this, and that particular show was all about goalkeepers. It was basically the goalkeepers podcast. And late on in it, Denise says, "I have a dream. I have a dream that we can come on here and we can talk about the goals and the forwards." And then we were going, "It's going to rain goals. It's going to rain goals." It did rain goals. It rained 5. It rained 5.
In fact, and we will cut it in right here. Let's go to that now and then cut it in. He'll cut this out. And we're back.
Yeah.
So you would have just seen that comment that we made about the goals. Now let's talk about the raining goals.
Denise?
So,
I mean, it was just fun to see. You know, the first goal was great. Second goal was great. Third goal was like, we're going to do this. We're really going to do it. The fourth goal was like, yes, I mean we're pouncing, and the fifth goal was just wow. I'm my little heart, you know. So I think it's a massive confidence booster for this team, massive acknowledgement of all the work they've done this year.
You were there, Dean. What was it like being in the stadium?
It was awesome. It was great. We were sort of in our little sort of corner there. Also, that it was yellow. And yeah, the first goal that went in. Well, prior to that, Ava Pritchard, if you'd seen the game, Ava missed a bit of a sitter. She went round the keeper and then sort of 9 times out of 10 she's going to just side foot that in, but she gave it some energy and it sort of. So I thought, is it going to be one of those days? But you know, about 38 minutes in, we scored that first goal and it was like, wow. Pinch me, that just went in. It was a very good goal. The second one went in and I just about had tears in my eyes. It was just like, it was only a few minutes later, the roll was starting and I thought, wow, today's going to be very special. And unfortunately I missed the third goal. I was running around the stadium trying to find programs so I could bring them back to like Izzy's mum, and eventually found some. But as I was running back, I'd hear this cheering and thinking, oh, that's good. And then, as you say, the other goals subsequent to the penalty save were just icing on the cake. And it was just like, you know, that's just, if you were going to write a script, I think, of a movie of the perfect football day, it would be that, you know, it's the redemption story. We're coming from nowhere. We've been beaten every game. And then suddenly we turn around and you know, put 5 goals on a very, very good team with some good internationals in. It's just it's just dream come true, I think.
Yeah,
Jonathan?
my favourite was the save. Yeah, my favourite was the save.
Yes.
I've said this time and time again, and we're not going to make this all about goalkeepers this time. But but Free keeps impressing me time after time after time after time. And I've asked different guests that we've had on, and I'll ask you the same question, Dan. Do you think Lily will have a hard time if she gets, in the slim chance she gets back this season, getting back on the first team? Do you think she will have an issue?
I think Bree has really grown in confidence. Early on in the season, you could see she was sort of very good stopping shots, and I think you've probably all sort of covered that before, but the dominance of the goal area, especially during corners, was very sort of tentative, if you will. moving forward now to the game, she's just so confident now. She did the penalty save. She made about 2 other saves, but her other contribution to the game was racing up the field when we scored a goal and getting into the goal celebrations. She didn't have a lot else to do because the defense were doing a great job. She made some really some good key stops early on, but I think Lily will struggle, and that's sorry, Denise, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk about the goal for a second, and the one that she did get into, Brie, and celebrated, and it was an incredible sequence, the third goal. Dean, I'm sorry you missed it, because it was like a thing of beauty. It was really my favorite moment of the entire match. It was Millie Clegg passing to Chloe Knott, to Michaela Foster, then to Ava Pritchard, and it was just this beautiful, like, through the line sort of lovely play that we all expect professional footballers to do. And finally, they just executed this beautiful sequence, and then they nailed it, and they finished it. And I was really happy. I was like, yes, this is the way we want to play, and this is who we are. And I think Brie getting in there and celebrating that, I mean, I think she was just as pumped with that goal as her save. I mean, her save was incredible and really good, like, she switched on. I mean, it was going to the right about halfway up. So it wasn't like the most like crazy save in the world, but she didn't let the pressure get to her, and I think that's a nice thing for a young keeper.
So just on that, you remember when we interviewed Brie, and I said that I'd watched her, like, she'd made an incredible save in the NPL. It was exactly the same. It was almost exactly the same. She stands still, she's completely focused, bang, she makes a save. Moving forward, because goalkeepers get a lot of love on this thing, we're going to move up the pitch, but I think the big difference this week was Grace Wisniewski and Izzy Gomez. Those two came on, they shored up the defence and that defensive line at kind of that midway back, which released Foster, it released Hassett, it released Ava and Millie to push forward, because we had, and especially Chloe had her best game this season. They were all able to push forward and play attacking and play beautiful football because they knew that they were safe behind them.
Yeah. It was quite strange because Canberra have beaten us this season. So they've obviously got a template on how they feel that they could beat the Phoenix women's team. But I think even from kickoff, 2 minutes in, I think most of us could see that, I don't know, they weren't pressing. We had so much freedom, so much space that we could pretty much do what we like. I was just watching the replay this morning again. And yeah, the amount of time that we had on the ball and the amount of space that we had to make accurate passes was amazing. So I'm not sure what Canberra's plan was, but they didn't seem to be really at the races that day.
And I think that shows how reliant they are on Grace Maher. Grace Maher is a fantastic footballer, brilliant number 6. But she wasn't there. Grace Jale has just backed up, playing 2 exceptional games for the Football Ferns, immediately spins around and comes in to cover for Canberra. Yet they were a side that, sadly, without Grace Maher, we owned it. Yeah. The Knicks girls owned it.
Yeah, they looked sluggish. They didn't seem switched on. Like, they didn't, I don't know, like, there was stuff made about the time difference and that kind of thing, but really they just, Heyman wasn't as good as she normally is. And Jale, I mean, she gave it her all, but she, I'm sure the last 2 matches took something out of her. She had, her against Crystal Dunn. I mean, it was really crazy to watch and exhausting to watch. So even though some of her minutes were managed, the Phoenix were sharpened and Canberra was dulled.
Yeah, if you look at the areas where Heyman and Jalo were getting the ball, it was nowhere near where they could be taking a shot. They're all out on the wings, pretty much starved of possession. And when those two are your sort of now without Grace Maher, if those two are your leading international players in the squad, if they're not getting the ball, happy days for us. Unfortunate for Canberra.
Go on, Blake.
I want to ask you something about Canberra and then touching on Grace Maher. So going into the final series, because I like to watch all the other teams as well, is it a concern from a neutral perspective that they're so reliant on the one player? They seem lost without her. Is that a problem going into the finals campaign if they were to make it?
I think, yeah, probably, because you see other teams have turned it around when they've sort of got one player, like Wanderers, the Filipino player. But if that player gets injured, Grace Mail's out, and that's it, then you're going to struggle, and teams will take advantage of that. It's obviously the opportunity for someone else to step up, but I'd be a little bit worried if I was Canberra, but I'm not, so I'm quite happy.
Yeah, Canberra is sitting 6th on the table. The top 4 go through, so that loss, is going to affect their playoff abilities.
Just while we're speaking of Canberra, I don't know. I just started to feel sorry for their goalkeeper. I can't remember what her name was, but I don't think she's a bad keeper. But the Phoenix on Sunday made her look very ordinary.
Well, when a keeper looks ordinary, there's 10 people in front of her, and sometimes 11 if you count the referee. And so look, you're going to rely on those people to sort of shut that down. Having said that, I think still 3 of our goals came from corners. So we're obviously known to take advantage of the corner situations. They should be looking after their keeper, knowing that the most of our pressure is going to come from corners.
Once again, the shortest player on the field scored from a corner. Go figure.
Yes. Mickey Robertson, get it in there. Was it her goal or did it end up an own goal? Do we know?
They've given it an own goal. I was just watching a few minutes ago, watched it again. It actually hit her shoulder. She went up for a header. Well, she didn't even have to jump. It came down, hit her shoulder, hit the player's leg on the line, and then went through the player's leg into the goal. So I think it has been called as an own goal, but I'll do a plaque for Mickey anyway, just showing that it's her goal. Popular public opinion says it's hers. Tough reality.
It just goes to show you, if you get in there, things can happen. If you're tentative on these pieces, and these set pieces should all be like scripted, get in there and have confidence, and and they did that, and I love set pieces. I think corner kicks, set pieces are the bread and butter of how to win, and you need those opportunities to happen, and again, you need a whole team to get that. But when you have those, we really to see them not wasted is good. I don't know how many times I've seen just like these terrible corners taken, and they're going into the side net, or they're going into Timbuktu, and it's nice to see that the team has gotten focused on these.
There's a lot of credit there for Foster for that. Her corners are fantastic. Quite often in women's football, there's a struggle to actually sort of get a decent ball across. And with Foster taking those kicks from either side, they're a real danger. And she nearly scored a couple of times, and nearly a couple of Olympicos there where it nearly directly went in. And hats off.
And the cool thing is that she goes with both feet, left and right, and her placement is good. I actually messaged her last week, and I was like, "Hey, Mickey, when's Nat gonna unleash you a little bit more with that attacking prowess?" And in the Canberra game, she did. Like Mickey Foster and Marissa, not quite so much Marissa, but definitely Foster, we're owning that line. And as Coach Nat said after the game, Mickey's really pushing for a Fern spot. There's no, with that, she's could be a goer.
The quality's on display.
World Cup, Jonathan?
I think she'd make the squad. I don't know that she would start, but I think she'd definitely be in the Fern squad.
A couple of things before we move on to the news. Isn't it interesting how from 1 week to the next, we say some of these players have their worst game of the season against Perth, and then they do a complete 180 the next week, you know? It's quite fascinating to watch as a fan. Like,
A couple of things I'd like to call out as well. Kate Taylor, back to form. Fantastic, solid at the back, building confidence. They started off doing a couple of dodgy lateral passes at the back, that the ones that always just make me have kitten.
Mm-hmm.
Then they started to just keep possession down the back, but move it forward, and that was the key. I think having the confidence and the ball skills down the back. Other things to just quickly mention, obviously we talk about Bree's save, but when Charlotte Lancaster came on for those last 15 minutes, she was a powerhouse down the left wing. She was knocking players on their ass left, right, and centre, keeping possession, and she was magnificent. So greater time on the field awaits for her, I think, and especially my favourite Izzy Gomez. That pass, if you saw the no look sort of reverse diagonal pass to set Betsy Hassett up for the fourth goal, was fantastic. And so more game time for Izzy, please. I'm
Absolutely.
not just saying that because we sponsor her, but she actually came and sat with us at halftime in the men's game. We had a good old chat, and she's looking a lot happier, and that's great to see.
For me, last week I messaged both Ava and Millie, and like because we got pummeled the week before. We were just, and when I say message them, it's through the Flight of the Onyx account. So I'm kind of speaking on our behalf, and I was like, hey, come on, keep it going. And both of them said that, oh yeah, it's really frustrating when you're a number 9 and not scoring.
Yep.
And then they come out on Sunday and it started, and they both had a blinder. And Millie Clegg is getting noticed now, which is fantastic. She's going to be a real good one.
Yeah, she's one to watch for sure. And obviously Betsy has had a great game.
Yes, yeah.
It's nice to see her up the field.
She was player of the match, but we've only just talked about her sort of like, 24 minutes into our conversation with her. I just mentioned because I think we kind of take it for granted she's going to have a storming match. And just, that was her match. 2 goals, I think an assist and some great play. And she could have had a couple of others as well. So, sorry for not mentioning you, Betsy, until now. But look, everybody had a great game.
I think they moved her up on the pitch. She didn't have to play such a defensive sort of mid. She was a little bit pushed up, and they had to take notice of her because it's Betsy Hassett, and I think that made the defense a little bit more honest, and she just got in there. I think this time with the Ferns, she had a bunch of time with the Ferns, and then the first match, and then they were like, no, you're going to sit out the second match. And that must have been disappointing for her to sit out the second match up in Auckland. However, she led the team to win. And,
we're never going to beat the American women's or the US women's national team, I think, whether Betsy's there or not. But, for her to come back and play with us and actually get the Phoenix 3 points is thrilling.
So, Blake, last comment from me on the women's game. The bit that I enjoyed and was just, I was literally sitting in my chair with emotions, was watching the celebration post-match where the Knicks women were a team. We've talked about this before Christmas. There was some trust missing. They hadn't gelled, blah, blah, blah. Sunday afternoon, they're all jumping over each other. They're giving each other piggybacks around the thing. I got a photo of Coach Nat and Lily just giving each other the most massive bear hug because that's how much it means to everyone. And just even now, I'm just like, whew.
Did you see the video of Lily and Bree doing the little dance in the warm-up? Mm-hmm. That is the sign of a team.
It was interesting because she said in the post-match presser that on the tape that she said the pressure has been lifted off my shoulders. And I thought, I don't know what you think, Denise, but I thought that was a very poignant comment to make. The pressure has been lifted off my shoulders. That really stuck with me.
Yeah. I mean, listen, we've all been in teams, whether it's at work or like when we were younger, when things aren't going right, they start looking around, they start blaming people, they start blaming each other. And, the coach is a big focus of that. And we've all agreed, that now Natalie Lawrence is a good coach. I mean, she's one of the best that New Zealand has to offer. And she has been guiding this team with a particular style of football. And she hasn't parked the bus. She hasn't done things that she hasn't wanted to. And she expects them to win. And when they don't, the pressure is overwhelming. And the pressure, I can't even imagine being her. The pressure is overwhelming when you haven't won a match. And, the fans aren't quite as forgiving around that. And so I do. Your point is point on, that the pressure has been lifted from Natalie, and the belief is there, and then she can lead her squad from belief.
It wasn't my point. It wasn't my point. It was a quote that she had in the presser. So I quite like.
So just on that, and I'm gonna. This will be my last comment. Well, probably. I think like Nat has openly said that, like, they got Greenie, so Chris Greenacre, who's the academy coach, he came in, and when Chris came in, we saw a bit of a change in the playing style. Like, we almost we should have beaten Adelaide in that game. And then more recently, Uffy has been showing more interest and become like a mentor as well for Nat. And so that relationship is starting to grow. So Nat's now, even like, the club are starting to really wrap themselves around Nat and around that women's team. And it showed up on Sunday. Because I think what Nat may have been missing before was the ability to communicate with the whole team. Because, we had the Ferns who come in late, and they're experienced professionals, and they approach the game a certain way. And then you've got all these 17, 18, 19-year-olds who you have to communicate with in a different way, because they don't know what professional football life is like. But I think now Nat's found the secret sauce. She's found the key to unlocking how to communicate with the whole team so they get it. So credit to David and Chris and Greenie and Uffy for making that time and helping. And ultimately, it cheers us up too.
And final comment from me. So we've got Brisbane this week. So can we keep that momentum going?
I think we can. Depending on the weather, it's supposed to be very hot up there, so that might sort of have an influence. But I feel now that we've sort of perhaps set our own template for success, as say, I think the key to victory is simply scoring the first 5 goals. It's just as easy as that. I'm going to have to learn that, Dan. So I think when we're finished here and we start recording, give us about 10 minutes to learn that. Take me through it.
Well,
I'm sure we're going to need it again.
Rain.
My inside guy who predicted about 3 weeks ago that we would beat Canberra reckons we'll go for it. We're likely to get a draw against Brisbane, because Brisbane are a step up and Brisbane at home. So a win would be beautiful. I don't think we'll get a loss. I'm pinning on a draw.
Sounds like we've both got the same inside guy.
So Brisbane is 7th on the table. I mean, there's no reason we can't beat them.
Yeah.
Let's move on for a few minutes on to the Central Coast game before we finish this. So the men play Central Coast. The Central Coast were without one of their influential players as well, Jason Cummings. And again, I noticed then that they really struggled again without him. They seem to be another team that's very reliant on him.
Yeah. It's kind of unusual that, because he's a striker. You think your influential players are going to be sort of like midfielders or defenders, and so if your striker's not getting the ball, he can't sort of really do much. But again, they weren't really at the races, very much like Canberra. Maybe they flew over on the same plane or something like that and picked up some sort of bug, because it was like the Phoenix men's team were ready. They were all over it, and Mariners weren't really at the races.
Yeah, I felt the same when they had Growing Wall in the team.
Exactly.
They were very reliant on him too. So that was really interesting that a lot of these teams are very reliant on certain players, whether it be the men, the women, or so forth. Something else that I noticed is until he got injured, Clayton Lewis had a decent game as well. The Water's really coming into form. David Ward doing well. So all our attackers are doing well on the men's side as well.
Yeah, and Kellen Elliott looking fantastic. And hard to pick anybody out who had a bad game, actually. I was obviously in dreamland already because we've just won 5-0. So everything I viewed was through rose-tinted glasses. But yeah, look, just watching that game, it was just, I didn't feel the nerves that I normally do. Yes, we did concede late and we parked the bus towards the end, which is sort of like obviously Uffy's plan, perhaps. But it doesn't do much for your nerves and especially when the game goes for like 97 minutes or however long it did. Just extra nervousness. I mean, we were doing the Zavada tequila chant. We thought, we'll do that. We'll start that at about 85 minutes. We'll keep it going until full time. And then they gave us extra time. So it was going on for about 15 minutes, which was fantastic. But it was just a great game to be there. Mariners didn't really offer much. We could have had a few more goals. But I'll take a 2-win game at home.
The Mariners seem to be a very hot and cold team.
Yeah, as long as they beat everybody else that's sort of around us on the table, I don't mind. But again, that's a team much like the Phoenix. They're punching above their weight. They've got limited resources, and they're doing well. And I suppose if I'm going to have a second team, it will be the Mariners because I kind of live fairly close to Gosford. But I think the Mariners, they just weren't at the races on the day, and I don't know why. But happy for the Phoenix to grab 3 points.
What do you think about Benny Inkalolo as a player? I really like him for the Mariners too.
He's good. I've seen him sort of come on and change a few games in the past, but really, I'm struggling to think of anybody from the Mariners in the game that I watched that actually stood out as a player who influenced the match. My favourite player is Josh Nisbet because we're about the same height, and so I always sort of follow him. He's living my professional football dream, so he's about the one Mariner that I sort of do kind of track and keep an eye on. But yeah, there was nobody else in that squad in the match on Sunday last that really sort of caught the eye as being influential.
So do you reckon the Water's really found his feet now that he's scored quite a few games in a row?
Yeah,
got that combination with Cryer.
Yep, he's looking the goods now. You could compare him, if he tried with Killian Sheridan a couple of seasons ago, just a big striker whose main asset was height. That didn't really sort of work well. I think it was just one goal in X amount of games. But Zawada now has really found his feet. His confidence is sky high. He's a star. The crowd love him now. There were doubts in a couple of games previously when he missed 6 goals and didn't score any. But since then, he's doing really well. So I think Zawada is the goods. And even if he's not, the goals that he scored shows that he should be considered one of our better players in the last season.
And a couple of things finally. So the discipline has been interesting because we've had a lot of fighting, and I think Jonathan's going to come and join us for this part. We've had a lot of fighting at the end of games recently, and I don't know what's causing it. Last 3 games, fighting, boom, boom, boom. maybe even last fall. And it's really interesting. So what's changing that mentality that's making them so upset? Because they seem to be getting more and more vicious every game, and that's not good for our game.
I agree. Jonathan, do you want to?
The one comment that I made a comment on social media, and I said, if you're going to pick a fight with anyone on the field, why would you pick the biggest player in the Phoenix? Ollie Sale is a big, tall, strong guy. If you're going to pick a fight, do it with someone like Jan Sass or Alex Rufer, someone who's not going to get upset. But as far as getting upset, I think and demonstrating, it comes from the top. Uffy gets real upset. Some of his language, you would not take your kids to sit behind the Phoenix bench, So I think some of that does spill over into the players. In the game on Sunday, the Mariners player kicked, he came in with a high boot, collected Ollie in the hand. Ollie got upset, and rightly so. The week before, Ollie jumped in on someone else's argument that was already underway, so that was probably not so good. But I think in some ways it demonstrates just how passionate our guys are about making the top four and making the playoffs. And it starts at the top with Uffy, and it works. So even the Knicks manager, like one of their assistant coaches or the manager was on the field giving it what for, and the Knicks players had to grab him like, you get out of here, So I think there's that passion in the team.
So you don't think the club has a lot of aggression going at the moment? It's just a lot of passion.
Because I think it's passion coming. Yeah, I think it's passion manifesting in that way. I don't know. What do you think, Dean?
Yeah, look, I agree. Yeah, I don't think there's any kind of sledging towards the end of the game where you guys are losers, get out here, that kind of thing. It's just it's passionate. Some might. Our best tradition is shirts off with 10 minutes to go when we're leading. We don't want our sort of next tradition to be a fight at full time with the players. You don't want to see that. But look, if it's the team protecting somebody or sort of going into bat, and don't like to see it. It's not a good look for the kids. But look, if the team are passionate about each other and protecting each other, sometimes it's necessary. And yeah, I think Uffy, I don't think they pay him a salary. They just sort of give him, I think they give him like $2 for every swear word. And every time he says the word up, they give him about $5. And that's how he makes his money. Because the one word you hear from him in the crowd coming across the field is up, 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 up. And he's doing a great job. It's great to hear. And, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, just on that, the other week when him and Steve Corica were having a set two with each other, I filmed it and I made a little reel on Instagram, and like that reel has been viewed like almost 1,000 times. It's the #1 piece of content we got, and it's Uffy absolutely losing his nut at Steve Corica. I don't know why people enjoy it so much, but it's good.
He's a really good coach. We found gold with him. Whatever happens in the future, he's made his name really at the Knicks, and we're grateful for the time. Sounds like I'm preparing for him to leave. I hope he doesn't, but great coach.
Looking ahead to the next game, they got Perth, Roy, and Palmerston North of all venues. So
I don't know. Are we going to have the psychological advantage, or is Perth? Because I think if you think it, Palmerston North to New Zealand is like Perth to Australia kind of thing. It's there. Do people even go there? Apologies to people who do live or come from Palmerston North. I come from Whangarei, so I can't really sort of throw stones. But Holly comes from Palmerston North, but I just can't imagine anybody in Australia going, "Yay, away, Palmerston North, away, hurrah!"
Well, for anyone who is keen on going, the Yellow Fever have a bus, so you can $40, go to the game, get on the bus, go to the game. It's not the Wayne train. I don't know what the Zavada bus, the SAS bus.
It'll be the Zavada Armada, or it'll be the Zavada in Alada. Either way. Yeah, one's good. The Zavada Armada would be good, but if he's not playing well, he's the Zavada in Alada, I think.
Oh, we forgot. Congratulations on Rufus scoring his first goal.
Yes. Yep. How magnificent was that? 106
Three-
games. Was it
3,000
3,269 minutes?
Yeah, 3,007 days. So yeah, Petty, they have to be. They're being touted as the curtain raiser for UB40. That's quite funny. But unless there's any points that we've forgotten, we'll leave it there. And we'll thank Dean for coming on the program.
Thank you very much for having me.
Okay. Like and subscribe this video, and we'll see you on the next one. And it's raining goals.
I've got to practice that. So just before you go, I've got a really kind of nice story. Jonathan, I was going to tell you last time. Before